Okay, so today lesson we're going to do is factoring trinomials, and we're going to do part one of factoring trinomials. Okay, I didn't give you a paper of notes. I want you to just go ahead and do the notes directly onto your composition book. I want you to do it on the left side of page 50. Okay, so the first problem is a squared plus 7a plus 12. Okay, and we are going to factor this. So they gave us the answer, and we want to figure out where did it start. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We are going to use what we call an X in the box, and we're going to use an X on the side here. And what we do is we take our first term, which is 1, and we're going to multiply it by our last term, which is 12. So 1 times 12 is 12. That's the number that we're going to say it multiplies to. Okay, the middle term is what we're adding up to. So what we do on the side here is we say two numbers that multiply together to give me 12, but add together to give me 7. So I can go through and I'll list my multiples, the numbers that multiply together to give me 12. So the factors of 12, 1 and 12, and 2 and 6, and 3 and 4, so, and 5 and 6. Okay, I think those are all the numbers that multiply together to give me 12. So then I say, okay, which one's going to add together to give me 7? So 12 and 1 is 13. That doesn't work. 6 and 2, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. Doesn't work. 4 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 4 times 3 is 12. And when I add 4 plus 3 together, I get 7. So my numbers that are going to go on the side are 4 and 3. Okay, I'm going to put my variables with these numbers on the side. Okay, now I take and I'm going to create a box. It's going to be a 2 by 2 box. Okay, so let's create our box. Okay, in the upper left-hand corner, this is always going to be where you're going to place your first term. So in this case, it's going to be in a squared. Okay, at the bottom right-hand corner, this is always my last term. So in this case, it's going to be the number 12 that goes in this box. Okay, these two boxes are for the number on the side of our X. And it doesn't matter which order we put them in. Here's 4a here and 3a. Okay, now we're going to go through and we are going to take out what they have in common. We're going to factor. So we're going to factor up this way. Between the 4 and the 12, what do they have in common? They have a 4. Because 3 times 4 is 12 and 1 times 4 is 4. So they have a 12 in common. Now we're going to go this way. What do they have in common? Well, they don't have any numbers in common, but they both have an A. Then we're going to go this way. Okay, what do these two have in common? They don't have a number, but they have an A. And then we're going to go this way. What does the 12 and the 3 have in common? They have a 3. Okay, so the next part of this is we are going to put the sign in where they belong. And this sign, oh, sorry about that, right here, and the sign right here is going to determine the sign that goes between these two terms we have. Well, this is a positive 4, so this is a plus 4. And this is a positive 3, so this is going to be a plus 3. Okay, so now we found our answer. We're going to put parentheses around this. Parentheses around this one. And so now we have a plus 4 times a plus 3. Okay, and I'm just going to show you and prove to you that that's our answer. You don't have to do this each time, but I'm just going to do that so you can kind of see what we did. Remember I said that they gave us the answer and they wanted to know where it started, and so a plus 4 times a plus 3 is where it started, because a times a is a squared. A times 3 is 3a. 4 times a is 4a, and 4 times 3 is 12. When I add these two together, I get a 7a. And I still have plus 12, and over here I have a squared. And right here is the same as our very first problem, the one that they gave us, a squared plus 7a plus 12. A squared plus 7a plus 12. That's our answer. So right here, this right here, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. Hopefully the yellow highlights for you. This is our answer right here. We did that work to come up with that answer. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so now we're going to make our x. Okay, and then we're going to make a box. I'll make my box right here. Okay, the problem we have is x squared plus 14x plus 45. Okay, our first question is, we're going to multiply the first, which is 1, times the last, which is 45. So first times the last is 45. That's going to go at the top. Those are the numbers that you're going to multiply to. The middle term is a number that they have to add up to. So two numbers that multiply together to give me 45, but add together to give me 14. Okay, and again, you can go through and you can list your facts. You can say 1 and 45. I guess it would be not 2, but 3. Is it 3 and 15? And then 4, and then 5, 5 and 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there we are. So 1 and 45 doesn't make 14 when you add them together. 15 and 3, that's 18, not 14. 9 plus 5, that's 14. So it's going to be a 9 and 5. Okay, I want you to put your variables with those numbers on the side. Okay, and again, we said that your first term is always going to go in the top left-hand corner. That's your first term. The last term's always going to be in this box right here. So our first term is x squared. Our last term is 45. These two on the side are going to go in the other two boxes, anywhere that you want to put them. So we've got 9x and 5x. And again, these are both positive, so I'll put my plus there so don't forget they're positive. Now I'm going to go back up and I'm going to take out what they have in common. And it doesn't matter where you start. So where's my pen? We're going to go this way first. Okay, these two, what do those two have in common? They have in common an x. Oh, if I can find my pen. There it is. I have an x. What do these two have in common? The 9 and the 45 is a 9. Now we're going to go in this direction. What do these two have in common? They have an x. What do these two have in common? They just have a 5. Okay, and remember, this sign determines what goes in there, and this sign determines what goes in there. So The 9 is positive, so it becomes a plus. The 5 is positive, so it becomes a plus. So my answer is, and I'll put my parentheses around them. My answer is x plus 9 and x plus 5. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to factor. So first thing you're going to do is make your x in your box. So here's my x, and here's my box. Okay, write your problem down. X squared minus 10x plus 9. Okay, now two numbers that multiply together to give you, and we do the first times the last. That's how we get that number, first times the last, which is positive 9. Okay, they multiply together to give me 9, but when they're added together, it gives me a negative 10. So two numbers that multiply together to give me a positive 9, but add together to give me a negative 10. Well, positive and positive make positive, but when I add positive and positive together, I don't get a negative. So these both have to be a negative number, because negative times a negative is a positive, and when I add them together, it's going to give me a negative 10. So what do you think they're going to be? 1 and 9? 1 plus 9 is 10, so it's 1 and 9. Put your x with these, and those are the two numbers that are going to go in your side over here, negative x and negative 9x. Okay, what goes up here? This is our first term. What goes down here? Our last term. So our first term is x squared. Our last term is positive 9. Okay, so now we're going to factor. We're going to go this way, and then this way, and this way. Okay, so what do these have in common? They have an x. What do these have in common? Well, this doesn't have an x, but that one does. This has a 1, but that has a 9. The only thing that these two have in common is a 1. Okay, what sign goes there? And again, it's right here, so it's going to be a negative. And now I'm going to go in this direction. What numbers do these have in common, or letters? It has an x. And what about these two? They both have a 9. And again, the sign is determined by this down here, and it's going to be a negative. So now I have my answer. My answer is x minus 1 and x minus 9. So that's the answer. That's the factored form for that equation. Okay, one more, and then I'm going to let you try one on your own. Okay, so you're going to make your x in your box. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up my box. Remember, the first term goes up in here, which is m squared. The last term goes over here. I'm just writing a note for you, and it's negative 21. Okay, and then the first times the last, so the first term, which is 1, times negative 21, that's what's going to go at the top of your x. That's what we're going to multiply together. And the numbers that added is the middle term, which is negative 4. So two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 21, but add together to give me negative 4. So to get a negative answer, I have to have a positive and a negative that I'm going to multiply together. So that's what I'm going to put first to remind myself. Okay, then I'm going to go 1 and 21. Doesn't work. 2, no. 3 and 7. Okay, so one's going to be negative, one's going to be positive. Well, 7 minus 3 is 4. So I know it's going to be 7 and 3, But then I have to determine which one's going to be the 7 and which one's going to be the 3. Well, I want to get a negative 7, so the 7 has to be, or negative 4, so the 7 must be bigger. Okay, so two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 21, and I said that one had to be positive, one had to be negative, and then when I add them together I get a negative 4, so that means that my 7 has to be the negative so that I can end up with a negative 4, not a positive 4 when I subtract. Okay, so now I've got the two numbers that go into my box up here. It's a positive 3m and it's a negative 7m. Okay, now we're going to factor up. We're going to go, and what number do these have in common? They have a 3. What do these have in common? They just have an m, and my sign is positive, so it's plus here. And then I'm going to go this direction. What do these have in common? They just have an m. And what do these two have in common? And they have a 7. And remember, this sign determines what sign goes here. And so I've got my answer. My answer is m plus 3 and m minus 7. Okay, so now I want you to stop the lesson. I want you to try the one by yourself that's a squared plus 3a plus 2 and make sure that you get the right answer, and I'll go ahead and put my work there and it'll show up in just a minute. Okay, so my answer is a plus 2, a plus 1. So that would be the answer choice that you should have came up with when you did the work by yourself. Right here. Okay, now you get to try it on your own.